This is a letter to Donald Trump regarding our border and his crisis. Senor Trump, I remember when I was a young boy, my mom would spank me for lying. My mom would spank me for stealing. My mom would spank me for saying cuss words. My mom would spank me for sticking out my tongue and making fun of others. My mom would spank me for smoking, drinking. One day, my dad beat me. My dad beat me for disrespecting my mother. That was the end of the beatings. I stopped doing all those things that made her unhappy. You see, Mr. Trump, my mom is my everything. My mom came to this country. My mom brought me here as Fides Immigrante with a dream for me. That's why I was spanked. I was disrespecting her dream for me. I came to the Rio Grande Valley of South Texas some 19 years ago from Los Angeles. My first run-in with racism was in Lufkin, Texas. I was denied food, even though I had the money. I just didn't have the skin. This was a chain restaurant in America where I was born. Racism was scarier than running into cops that just wanted to hustle and slap us around. Racism is another level of scary. I've had my disagreements with choices other leaders in politics have made over the years. I've been aware of before you were in position you are in now. But you bring that fear I once witnessed back to me, and now I have a daughter to look after. You speak in racist tongue and code. Your alliance is one of fear and hatred because you have enabled it, and they're enabling you. Here is the borderlands. There's a culture of dreams and fight and love and resistance that is so strong, no wall or fence or wires or barriers can overpower, not with an executive decision or all that guns that you have in your back pocket. No, sir. We are the immigrants and children of immigrants that carry ancestral wisdom and song and spirits and prayer and the four winds to blow energy to all corners of the world. Yes, we die too, and we rise from the ashes and become a new skin worn by our children. So yes, you can kill us, which you have, but we carry the souls of our dead in song and poetry. No one here on these borderlands that believe and love who they are, where they came from, by your rhetoric and falsehoods. No, sir. No one here on these borderlands want a wall to divide us from our neighbors. We dream of bridges. No one here on these borderlands want death and crime. We dream of unity and kindness. Go back to your crisis in Washington. You have caused a domestic terror in the minds of Americans, a war against the very same people that made this country great, the immigrant. Like America's favorite pastime, baseball, you need to be pulled for a relief pitcher before the game gets out of hand and more damage is done. Hit the showers and look over the tape of your performance, a bad one that instead of causing runs has taken lives. There is no crisis here along the border. It's in Washington and it's knee deep. This is for all the immigrants. I offer these medicine poems. I gather this sage for you poems. Teach me to pray the rosary poems. Let's face the four directions together poems. In lac ech, tú eres mi otro yo poems. Sweat together poems. Eres mi yemaya poems. Flor y canto poems. Don't drown in the river poems. Altar for our ancestor poems. Sobadora curandera poems. Sana sana colita de rana poems. Drum beat poems, conch shell poems, cumbia y salsa poems, hold my hand through this fence poems. Here's some food for your journey poems, La Bestia at high speeds poems, you are my kindred poems. Bring me your dreamer poems. Your fuck this border wall poems. Don't worry about that orange guy poems. Don't speak his name poems. Your existence is medicine poems. Help me celebrate Cinco de Mayo poems. Ya basta poems. Grito poems. Indigenous wisdom poems. Palo Santo poems. You were here first poems. Decolonize your soul poems. Code switch poems. You belong poems. No more war poems. Son jarocho poems de resistencia. Corrido poems, con zafos poems, flying chancla poems. Share this meal with me poems. Here, drink some water poems. Let me die your death poems. One day at a time poems. Café con leche and pan con dulce poems. Pupusa poems. Guayaba poems, manguitos con alguaste poems, raspa poems, spiro papa poems, platanitos poems, la pulga poems, molcajete poems, pocho poems, salvatrucha poems, istale poems, valle poems. Gather in this embrace poems, crying poems. We're waiting for you on this side poems. We have hot coffee and tamales poems, recipe poems, share my rebozo poems, come, fall in love poems. You are worth more than any labor you do poems. You are him, her, they, them poems. Welcome home poems. Get some rest poems. Tomorrow we'll plan the future poems. I love you poems. Take with you these love poems. We'll protect your women and children poems. You are not an alien poems. This is actually your land poems. You deserve so much more poems. Hide behind me poems. You are not merchandise to be locked up in container poems. Stay speaking Spanish. It is poetry. Warsanshire home poems. Como la flor, tanto amor poems. La Llorona poems. Elotero poems. Be my chola poems. Pan de polvo poems. Órale vato poems. Slow dance poems. Padrino de DJ poems. Kiss me when I'm asleep poems. Star song poems. Deep tongue poems. Wildflower poems. River's edge poems. Chicharra poems. First and last breath poems. Thank you.